So, you finally decided your wallet is too heavy and decided to try out the gacha title Dragalia Lost. But that huge pool of gacha characters can make deciding who to play a real challenge sometimes. So it's often best just to pick the default character and just play as the Prince. The Prince, or Yunun as players who want to remain confusingly anonymous to everyone on their friends list, is a 4-star fire sword adventurer and the player's first unit. As a fire unit, the Prince shines the most in wind matchups, which let's be honest is the only reason he beat Midgard's more at level 3, but tends to fall short in water matchups, which is probably why we'll never get a swimsuit alt. Sword units are probably the easiest unit in the game to play, and among sword units, the Prince is no exception. When you encounter an enemy, all you need to do to win is just tap the screen. If you're in an attack area, swipe to dodge, and if the enemy happens to look particularly menacing, hold tap for a second for extra effect. The best time to hold this is after you've tapped 2 or 3 times, but if you're just trying to look cool in front of your friends, continue tapping and we'll get the Prince to do a cool flip. If none of these tactics work, then you can always rely on the Prince's trusty skills, assuming those tactics have already worked for a little bit. His first skill, Blazing Circlet, does a stereotypical sword spin attack and hits every hostile thing around the Prince in a fiery circle. Your second skill, Exalted Fire, throws a wave of fire, which will strike whoever's right in front of you, and unless you're trying too hard, it will frustratingly miss every other enemy on the screen. As for abilities, and a quick spoiler warning for every chapter of the story, the Prince is really good with dragons, so much so that anyone in the vicinity can transform into a dragon faster than they could without him, or really at all. Additionally, he can outshine his friends by getting stronger each time he turns into a dragon. The Prince also cannot be stunned, which is really convenient because getting stunned is super annoying. But what makes the Prince unique is his ability to help the player level up faster, as his third ability increases EXP intake. Now that sounds really great on paper, which is why the developers also put it on paper. If you played the Dragon Yule event or the Valentine's event, you also probably have a fancy piece of paper that does the exact same thing and doesn't stack with the Prince. As a 4-star unit, the Prince is also eligible for promotion, and if you happen to have 25,000 Eldwater and no other gacha 4-star or 5-star fire units from getting that Eldwater, the Prince is an okay choice. When promoted to 5-star, he also gets access to more EXP buffs, which makes him more valuable than the previously mentioned paper, and he also becomes viable for one of the endgame bosses, assuming you're willing to burn 7 Twinkling Sand and a 5-star fire sword instead of something vastly more useful. As the main character of the game, the Prince is also only able to equip Midgardsormr, the main dragon of the game. However, I've heard there's a way to equip other dragons as long as you don't tell the developers that you're ignoring their OTP. The Prince is one of the nicest characters in the roster, but he's also a prince. In order to keep his ego princely levels, you should really only equip Worm Prince with his face on them to balance out his humility with, extra pride. You can get around this by putting Xander on your team if you have him, as his ego can hardcore carry the Prince. On that note, the Prince's best allies are of course Elasan, Ronzel, and Cleo, as he garners strength from their unending support. Having a rainbow team means you're prepared to face any challenge in some capacity. In summary, the Prince is a nice character to start as and a great addition to your team. He's the only character in the roster that you can name and serves as a focused DPS unit. The only downside is he's outclassed by just about every other 4-star or better gacha fire unit, but that's easily ignored as long as you have a nice spot for his third ability in the back end of your team, or someone else with a fancy piece of paper. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video on how to play the Prince. Let me know if you liked it in the comments below and who you want to see me make a video on in the future if you want to see more. Except Makoto. Don't request Makoto. Makoto's coming regardless.